If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance you're thinking about making a move to the Seattle metropolitan area. So in this video, I'm going to go over 10 things you must know before you move over to this area. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm Bryce Greenleaf. I'm a local real estate agent here in the greater Seattle area. I make videos all about what it's like living over here in Seattle and what to expect when you're moving over this way. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. Like I said, I am an active real estate agent over here, so if you're planning to make the move over here and you need some assistance with making that transition and buying a home over here, feel free to reach out to me here at my info on the screen and be more than happy to help out with that. Or link down below is my dream home questionnaire. So you can click on that link, you can scroll through and fill out that questionnaire, and that would give me as much information as possible to best help you. So feel free to fill that out down below there. But like I said, on today's video, I'm gonna go over 10 things you need to know before you move to the Seattle metropolitan area. All right, so number one is one of the most talked about, and that's the weather here. So there's a lot of misconceptions about the weather here. So just to clear things up, give you, a clear picture of what it's actually like over here when it comes to the rain and the cold and the sun and all that good stuff. So starting off in the winter, our winter months are relatively cold. Now, I say this because it depends where you're coming from. If you're coming from California, it's probably going to feel pretty cold here in the winter to you. If you're coming from a state that's much colder and you're used to cold winters, it's probably going to feel a little bit warmer on average here than where you're coming from. So, on average, temperatures in the December, January, February time frames, the middle of winter, you're talking, low 40s on average. We'll get into the 30s sometimes, and then you can get below 30 every once in a while. So you'll get, it seems like over the last few years, we've got one, quote unquote snowstorm a year. And that's where it snows for, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 days. And then the snow can last on the ground for, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And then we're pretty much over it. The snow has melted and we've moved on. So the snow is not a big deal over here. You'll probably get it once a year. When that snow does come, that one time of winter, and it's a good heavy snow like we got this last few weeks ago, it's likely going to shut everything down for a couple of days. They're not prepared over here for snow, so the snow plows, they're few and far between, so a lot of the roads do not get touched. So, a lot of people end up just staying home for those few days that they need to and not trying to commute to work. But it's not something that's happening all the time through the winter. It's usually just one time, so it's not a huge inconvenience. Outside of that, you're usually getting temperatures the high 30s and low to mid 40s for the most part. You are going to get quite a bit of rain, and it's not necessarily torrential downpours. We don't really get, a whole lot of downpours over here. It's a lot more of a misty, drizzly type weather. So you get a lot of days like that where it's gray and it might rain for a few hours, and then cool off the rest of the day and not rain at all. So it's a relatively easy climate to deal with in the wintertime, in my opinion. Now, like I said, if you're coming from California, you might have a different opinion. It might be a little bit too cold for you. Now, as you move through later into the year, the spring really starts to warm up a bit. You're getting, a good mix of rain and sunshine. Still getting a good amount of rain, but again, still not those torrential downpours for the most part. It's just kind of a misty, drizzly weather sometimes in the morning, and then it burns off in the afternoon, and you have a nice, pleasant day. But as you move into the summer, summers are absolutely incredible over here in the Seattle area. In my opinion, probably one of the best in the country. The reason for that is because on average, for the most part, it doesn't get extreme temperatures. We're not really reaching the mid to high 90s or over 100 degrees very often at all. We just actually hit 100 degrees last summer for the first time in Seattle history last summer. So we'll see if that's a continuing trend or not, if we're gonna get stretches of upper 90 to 100 degree days. But on the whole, on average, you're really going to be in the upper 70s and low 80s for average temperatures throughout the summer months. June, July, August, early September, you're going to be in those mid to high 70s and low 80s. So it's very pleasant. You're seeing a lot of sun. You're not getting much rain at all in those summer months. So it's very, very pleasant here in the Seattle metro area in the summertime. All right, number two thing to think about is the healthy lifestyle over here. So a lot of people are health conscious in this area. So you'll see a lot of natural grocery stores, so Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and PCC markets, things like that. There's a lot of great healthy grocery store options all around the Seattle metropolitan area. So likely wherever you're going to move to, you'll have one in a close enough distance that you can make a trip to, once a week or once every other week, and get those groceries that you're looking for. Outside of the grocery options, just being here in the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of people that live a healthy lifestyle when it comes to cycling or hiking and mountain biking. They go camping, they do winter hikes and summer hikes, they hang out on the lake and go kayaking, paddleboarding, things like that. So there's a lot of people that take up an active lifestyle here in the Seattle metropolitan area. So if that's something that you like, you enjoy doing, you're definitely going to fit in over here with all the vast array of different hiking options, mountain ranges, places that you can go for little, weekend camping trips, and all those outdoor recreation activities you can do. There's a wide range of things available here to live that healthy and active lifestyle. All right, thing number three you need to know is if you want to make friends over here, if you're coming over here and you don't know anybody and you want to make some new friends, the best thing that you can do is to join some groups, whether that's Facebook groups or meetup.com groups. There are a lot of different groups around here for many different types of things. So if you like cycling, there's a group. If you like hiking, there's a group. If you're joining a church, there's all sorts of groups in churches. There's, single person groups. There's groups for people that like to play basketball or like to play soccer or like to play tennis. So any of the activities, climbing, there's definitely climbing groups around here if that's something you're into. Whatever you're into, there's a lot of different groups around here where you can immediately start to make some friends with some similar interests as you. There's a lot of different people here in the Seattle metro area that have come from all over the place. So it might be hard unless you join some of these groups to really find that, that type of person that you're looking to be friends with, because there's just so many different type of people in this area, but groups are one of the best ways that you can do that. All right, number four is transportation. This is a big one that a lot of people ask about, and that's, how bad is the traffic in the Seattle metro area? How am I going to get around? So again, it's going to depend where you're working and where you're living. If you're looking for somewhere that's super walkable, you don't want to own a car, you want to be able to walk to work or at least take public transportation to work and walk to restaurants and grocery stores, most of your options are going to be in the city of Seattle. So whether that's Fremont or Capitol Hill, those are some of the most popular, walkable areas for people to live when they want to, be able to walk to the grocery store and be able to walk down to the bar, get a drink, and then walk home, not have to worry about driving. So if that's the lifestyle you're looking for, you'll be looking within the city of Seattle and some of these neighborhoods like Capitol Hill or Fremont. Now, if you're somebody that's, got their own transportation, has a car, maybe driving a little bit to work, you don't want to be right in Seattle, you're going to have to consider those commute times. If you're coming over here and you're taking a job, you already know where you're going to be working. Figure out those commute times of where the options that you're going to be looking at living in before you pull the trigger on that. You'll have to decide how long you're willing to drive. There's some people I've met that say, I don't want to drive any more than 20 minutes to and from work. And there's other people that have told me, hey, I'm willing to go an hour and a half each way to get more for my money when I'm buying a house. So it's just a personal opinion on what you feel is the best for your situation, but you need to consider those commute times. And if you've got questions on anything like that, if you're saying, hey, Bryce, I'm taking a job in this area, what are some cities that are, within a 45-minute commute to that area that I should be looking at? Feel free to reach out to me and ask me that. I'd be more than happy to guide you kind of along that path. But outside of driving yourself, we've got the light rail. So currently, the light rail runs along, I-5, and you can take it from Northgate all the way down to the airport. Now, the light rail will be expanding even further north into the Linwood area. So that should help, more people. But if you're somebody that's looking to live, on the east side or way southeast where the light rail isn't right now, you're definitely going to need to consider your drive times, because that's going to be your main method of transportation. Now, outside of that, there is something called a van pool that many people use. It's where those that are working in the same or a very similar location will all carpool in what's called a van pool. It's usually like an 8-person, minivan, and they all jump in, and it saves everybody a ton of money on gas and transportation every day. So that is an option to look into, is van pools, if that's something you think you'd be considering. All right, the number 5 thing you need to know is the food and beverage scene. We've got one of the best scenes here in the United States for food and beverages. So starting with beverages, we are a coffee mecca center, a hub for coffee. Obviously, this is where Starbucks was founded, but outside of Starbucks, there are a ton of great local coffee shops here in Seattle and its surrounding suburbs. So there's so much that you can try and explore if you're somebody who's a coffee connoisseur. Craft beer is another thing that's very, very popular around here. There are a ton of breweries in this area where you can pop around, try some different brewskis, and see what you like. So it's a great spot to be if you like craft beer, and then as well wine. Wineries here in Woodinville. Woodinville is really our wine hub, our mecca for all the wineries. Northeast of Seattle a little bit, but an easy drive over there if you want to go wine tasting, explore all the different wineries. There's over 100 different wineries here in the Woodinville area, so it's a very popular place to go for that. If you enjoy your wine, this is a great place. Outside of that, food. Like I said, this is a melting pot. There are so many different people that have come from all over the world, all over the country, and landed here in the Seattle metro area. So there are so many different types of food, over here. Starting, first and foremost with seafood. Us being here on the Puget Sound, right next to the water, we've got some of the best seafood in the country over here in the Seattle metro area. So that should be at the top of your list if that's something you like. But you've got sushi, you've got Thai, you've got Mexican, you've got Korean food, you've got Chinese, you've got all these different types of food available in this area, and some amazing places to eat. If you're somebody that likes fine dining, dress up, go to a really nice restaurant, there's plenty of that here in Seattle and some of the surrounding suburbs like Bellevue and Kirkland. There are some really, really nice fine dining areas. On the opposite end of that, if you like the hole-in-the-wall places that, are on the cheaper end, but the food is just amazing, melts in your mouth, there's a lot of that all over the place as well. So a wide range of different type of food and drink options here in the Seattle metropolitan area. All right, the number 6 thing that you need to know is the East Side is for luxury living. Now, I'm not saying that the East Side is only for luxury living. That's all that's available in the East Side. But if you're somebody that's looking for luxury living, a really nice, gated community, or a very nice home, multi-million-dollar home with views or without views, but just a multi-million-dollar, newer build home here in the East Side, and I'm talking about cities like Bellevue and Kirkland and Redmond and Sammamish and Issaquah. These cities are the hub for a lot of the luxury living opportunities. Now, you're going to pay the price. These cities have a median price right around 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 million. Now, there are homes all the way up to 20 million in these areas, mansions with views and large manicured lots. And so there's a wide range of opportunities here on the East Side for luxury living, if that's something that you're looking for. Now, 7, there's plenty of rural living opportunities. So many people don't know, when you're moving over to the Seattle area, there's actually a lot of rural opportunities. Now, not in the city of Seattle, but if you go to some of the outlying suburbs a little bit further out, again, you're going to have to consider your commute on this, if this is somewhere you're willing to commute to your job. But places like Woodinville, I mentioned, that has all the wineries, places like Duval and Snohomish and Arlington and North Bend, there's a lot of places out here. Maple Valley's another one where there are a lot of rural opportunities for you to live. Now, when I say rural, you're going to feel like you're a little bit further out, but you're really not that far away from everything. You're not far away from the main Seattle Metro corridor, and you can get in and out relatively easily. You're not going to be way out in the boonies. Now, there are options to be way out in the boonies where there's no cell service and hardly any power running to the property, and you're going to be on a well and maybe have to dig a hole in the ground. There's plenty of extremely rural opportunities, but for the people that are looking to be, in a relatively close distance to Seattle and its immediately surrounding cities, close to, the ability to commute into that centralized area for work, but still feel a bit rural, these cities I mentioned, like Woodinville, Duval, Snohomish, Maple Valley, these provide some opportunities for you to buy acreage, whether that's just 1 acre, you want 5 acres, you want 10 acres. There are opportunities in these areas to feel like you're having that rural living. There's farms as well, especially if you go up to Arlington. So if you're looking to buy a farm with a big barn or something, there's plenty of opportunities for that up there as well. So if you're somebody looking for rural living opportunities, you can definitely find that here. Now, the number 8 thing you need to know is there are a lot of day trips available when you're living in the Seattle metropolitan area. So if you're looking to do a quick day trip or a weekend trip, leave on a Friday, come back on a Sunday, there are some amazing places that you can go within a couple hour drive or ferry ride. So Leavenworth is one of the most popular. Leavenworth is on the east side of the mountains. It's about a 2-hour drive over there, just depending where in the Seattle metro area you're coming from. But Leavenworth is a German town. They've got a great thing during Christmas with a light show and whatnot. It's very busy during the summer. It gets very warm over there. It's right on the river, so if you want to go camping and you want to go tubing down the river or just go for a swim, it's really popular to do. There's like I said, it's a German town. So there's a lot of little shops down there and restaurants, places you can go hang out. So Leavenworth is a really popular place to go for a day trip or a weekend trip. Other places like Chelan, Lake Chelan, if you want to take out the boat and go water skiing and tubing and wakeboarding, rent out a room on a little resort right on the water. Chelan is a really popular place to go. You can go over to Poulsbo for a quick day trip, which is an old antique, kind of historic town. You can take the ferry over to Poulsbo and just spend a quick day over there, visit all the little shops and whatnot, walk around, a much more peaceful, relaxed, slow-paced kind of day trip over there. You can go down to Mount Rainier. If you want to go camping, pop a tent and go for the weekend, you can go to Mount Rainier where you can go hiking and mountain biking and all these different activities over there. Or if you want to go up to Canada, you can go to Victoria, BC, or you can drive straight up to Canada, and there's plenty of things to do up there as well. So a lot of different day trips here if you're living in the Seattle metro area and that's something that you enjoy. All right, number 9 is that there's no state income tax here in Washington state. So if you're coming from a place like California where you're paying 10% or more in state income tax, you're not going to pay that here. So even though it might be relatively expensive to live here compared to most of the country, if you're coming over here from a state that does pay state income tax and you're coming over here, you're going to save that money right off the bat that you can then put towards that, a little bit more expensive cost of living. So no state income tax here, really nice in your pocketbook, saves you a decent chunk of change. All right, number 10, the last thing here for you to know is, you probably already know, Seattle is a large tech scene. So, along with San Francisco and New York and some of these main tech hubs, Seattle is right there. We've got the Microsoft headquarters, we've got Amazon headquarters. There are companies over here like Facebook and GoDaddy and Google are all over here. So there's a lot of different tech companies in this area outside of these, top recognizable names. There's plenty of other smaller tech companies here in the Bellevue and Seattle area that you can get a job at if that's something that you're looking for. So a lot of job opportunities in the tech field here in the Seattle metropolitan area. All right, well, this wraps up my video here on the 10 things you need to know when you're moving over to Seattle Metro. Like I said, I'm an active real estate agent here. So if you're coming over here and looking to buy a house and need some help with that, feel free to reach out to me here at my info on the screen. Be more than happy to have a conversation with you. And like I said, you're welcome to fill out the Dream Home questionnaire down below, and I'd be more than happy to reach out to you that way. But thanks for watching this video. Feel free to check out either one of these videos right up here for some more content on what it's like living over here in the Seattle metro area.